Welcome to our explainer. So, you're an executive, and cloud migration is probably a topic you hear about a lot. But what if the usual sales pitch is leaving out the most critical parts? Today, we're diving into a playbook from the research firm Virtualization Options LLC, and we're going to uncover the strategic questions you absolutely should be asking before you even think about making a move.
Look, we've all heard the promises about the cloud, right? Unlimited potential, endless scalability, but getting there isn't always a smooth ride. The journey is often loaded with complexities that somehow never make it into the glossy brochures. The best way to think of them? Well, they're kind of like the hidden entry fees for unlocking all that potential.
So, let's start with the why. Why is this conversation happening in pretty much every boardroom? It's because the promise of the cloud is incredibly powerful, and to be fair, in many ways, it's very real.
You already know the allure. You've seen these bullet points. The idea of being more flexible, more scalable, shifting from huge upfront spending on hardware to more predictable monthly costs. It's all positioned as this magic catalyst for innovation. And you know what? It can be. But that's really just the beginning of the story.
Okay, so let's pivot from the promise to the reality of actually making the move. This is where things get real and where solid strategy and careful planning become absolutely non-negotiable.
Moving to the cloud isn't like flipping a switch. Not even close. It's a major business project. First, you have to assess everything you've already got. Then you have to plan how to move it all without breaking your entire operation. Then you have to integrate the new stuff with the old stuff you're keeping. And finally, you have to actually manage this new and often more complex hybrid world. Each one of these steps is its own minefield. And this is where the technical details have very real business consequences. A 5-second load time for your sales team's CRM. That might sound like a minor IT headache, but it's not, is it? It's a sales problem. It's a productivity killer. It directly impacts your bottom line. This is the kind of stuff your plan has to account for. And the hurdles, they go way beyond just technology. How do you plug your shiny new cloud app into that 20-year-old legacy system that, let's be honest, still runs half your business? How do you get your people on board and manage that natural resistance to change? And this is a big one. Where do you find the people who actually know how to run all this? That talent shortage for cloud professionals is a massive, very real problem.
Now, all of these operational issues, they have real financial consequences. Every single strategic decision you make eventually hits the balance sheet, which brings us to the two things you have to guard the most: your data and, of course, your wallet.
The big sales pitch always focuses on saving money on hardware, but a smart leader always looks at the other side of the ledger. You've got to watch out for the hidden costs. Things like data egress fees. That's a fancy way of saying they charge you to move your own data out of their cloud. It can be a huge shock. So can those premium support charges you didn't know you'd need, or the tricky new software licensing fees. Your total cost might end up looking very different than you planned.
This all leads to a massive strategic risk that we call vendor lock-in. It's what happens when you get so tangled up in one provider's special tools that you can't leave without a huge, painful, and expensive ordeal. And just like that, your bargaining power vanishes. Your future flexibility? Gone. And then there's the regulatory alphabet soup. HIPAA for healthcare, GDPR for Europe, PCI for payments. These aren't just suggestions. They are hard and fast rules with serious penalties. The question isn't just, is the cloud secure? It's, is my provider compliant with the very specific regulations that my business lives and dies by?
And compliance isn't just about security. It's about geography. It's a concept called data sovereignty. It literally means you have to know which country your data is physically sitting in. If you store European customer data outside the EU, for example, you could be breaking GDPR. For any global business, this is a make or break detail.
Okay, so the landscape is complex. I get it. But the goal here isn't to run away from the cloud, it's to navigate it with your eyes wide open. So let's shift from the problems to the strategies that can give you a clear, smart path forward.
For a lot of organizations, the answer isn't some dramatic all-or-nothing leap. It's a strategic blend. We call it the hybrid cloud. And this is not a compromise. It's a deliberate choice. It lets you keep your most sensitive data or critical systems right where they are, on-premise, where you have total control. And at the same time, you can use the public cloud for all the things it's great at, like scalability. It's the best of both worlds. This hybrid model is what makes a phased, low-risk migration possible. You don't move everything at once. That would be crazy. You start small. You do a pilot project with a low-risk app to learn the ropes. Then you integrate. Then you optimize. You turn a giant, terrifying leap into a series of smart, manageable steps.
Now here it is. This is the question that stops most executives cold. We spend all this time and energy planning how to get into the cloud. But what's your plan for getting out if you need to? What if your vendors' costs skyrocket or their service tanks? What if your business strategy changes?
Having an exit plan isn't being pessimistic, it's being strategic. It means you've mapped out how everything is connected. You have a plan for securely moving your data somewhere else. You've thought about the costs, and you've read the fine print in the contract. It ensures you are never, ever trapped.
And you need that exit plan because your business doesn't stand still. A merger, a new technology, a simple shift in priorities, any of these can completely change the game. Your cloud strategy can't be some document you write once and stick in a drawer. It has to be a living, breathing thing that evolves right along with your business.
And that really brings us to the most important question of all, the biggest shift in thinking. Is the cloud a final destination that you're trying to reach, or is it just one powerful, flexible stop on your company's much longer strategic journey? How you answer that question will define your success.